This is Valley News Live at 5.
Yesterday at this time, we were telling you about the stormy weather making its way through the Red River Valley. We'll have more on that in just a moment. We begin with another weather-related hassle. Valley News Team's Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson joins us with the details. Hutch?
Thanks. Good evening, everyone. As we take a look across the skies of the valley, we do have a little bit of smoke here in the FM area, but it is downright nasty and unhealthy in portions of Minnesota and the northern valley. We've declared tomorrow a first alert weather day for heat. And we're going to throw in the fact that this smoke is going to continue to be a problem. Take a look at this purple shade that you see here by the lower Red Lake area, the Bemidji area, points north. That's not only very unhealthy, but hazardous air quality. That means you should just stay inside and not breathe it, particularly if you have heart or respiratory illness. Now that smoke forecast is important because we have this area where you see the reds and the purple colors here. That's thick, dense smoke. It moves right into the valley as we head into the afternoon and evening hours tomorrow. It sticks around, but late in the day it clears out as we get south winds pushing in. For tonight, we'll have smoke. Look at that heat out to the west. That's coming our way too. Details on that in a minute. A few sprinkles along the international border, keeping your temperatures there cool, but in Fargo we'll stay in the 80s for much of the evening. And we will have a chance of some clouds. Hour by hour details on your first alert weather day on the heat, who will see it, and where that smoke is going here in just a bit, Mike.
All right, thanks so much. Mandatory water restrictions are in place for those of you in Moorhead and Dilworth. If your address ends in an even number, you'll only be allowed to water on even numbered days. So if you live at the odd numbered addresses, you'll have to wait until tomorrow. Watering is only permitted between 8 and 9 and 8 in the morning, 8 at night rather, and 8 in the morning. There are some exemptions. Flowers, gardens, newly planted trees and shrubs, and freshly seeded lawns are exempt from the restrictions. Fargo police say a juvenile's behind the strip mall arson earlier this summer that destroyed multiple businesses and caused more than $1 million in damages. Fire investigators say that fire likely started in the attic of one of the businesses that stopped at a firewall in the middle of the building. No one was hurt inside the building, but a firefighter did suffer minor injuries. Police have forwarded the report to juvenile court. One person suffered serious burns from fire out of a home daycare. It happened around noon at 710 12th Street North in Moorhead. Firefighters say that flames and smoke were coming from the top floor where they found someone who was in pretty bad shape. The daycare was in the downstairs portion of that building. No children were hurt and they were sent home with their parents. State fire investigators are looking into the cause. A bank robbery suspect out of Richland County has been arrested in Moorhead. Police found Tessa Jaksa after someone recognized her vehicle. She's accused of robbing the Lincoln State Bank in Wyndmere. Richland County deputies say that she showed 2 employees a gun. There were no customers in the bank at the time. No one was hurt, and the stolen money was recovered. Police in Duluth, Minnesota are investigating a body found in a city park this morning. The discovery was made just before 11 at Leif Erikson Park near the Rose Garden. There was no immediate word on the cause of death. Customs and Border Patrol of officers in the Northern Valley have been busy. They issued nearly 250 emergency action notifications from April to June, meaning they stopped tens of thousands of plant and animal products from potentially impacting the local environment. Ag specialists in Pembina found invasive snails in a shipment of construction equipment from China. And in International Falls, officials seized more than 18,000 pounds of meat and eggs that didn't fit U.S. health standards, including one type of meat that's flat out banned. North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum has appointed a new head of the Game and Fish Department. Deputy Director Scott Peterson will step into the shoes of current Director Terry Steindwan, who's retiring after 40 years with the department. Peterson also has nearly 4 decades of experience in the department. The number of new weekly cases of COVID-19 in children has increased. More than 23,000 new pediatric cases being reported last week. Experts say after decreases in weekly reported cases over the past couple of months, cases have started to increase this month. The report shows that children represented nearly 16% of the newly weekly cases. As of July 15th, nearly 4.1 million children have tested positive since the pandemic began. Meanwhile, top U.S. health officials face tough questions on Capitol Hill today amid mounting concerns about the spread of COVID and conflicting guidance over whether masks are needed in school. The head of the CDC says masks will play a critical role in preventing the spread of COVID when schools reopen this fall. Just yesterday, we told you that the American Academy of Pediatrics recommended students wear masks in school, even if vaccinated. Dr. Anthony Fauci says he wouldn't be surprised if schools considered mandating the vaccine if the pandemic isn't under control.
We have the tools to end this epidemic. It is up to us to utilize those tools to their maximum.
The Delta variant now makes up more than 80% of known cases in the United States. Dr. Fauci says the vaccines are more than 90% effective against the new variant. Across the nation, the controversy continues over how racism is taught in schools. Some, including lawmakers on Capitol Hill, call these classroom discussions critical race theory. But that's not necessarily the case. Valley News Team's Washington News Bureau Nicole Newman spoke to educators about what it actually is.
It was like a legal theory, it came out of law school.
I asked Jasmine Owens to explain the origins of critical race theory. Owens is a pre-K through 12th grade policy advisor at Washington, D.C. think tank New America.
It is a theoretical framework that was developed in the 1970s and 80s as a way to understand the intersection of race, power, and politics.
Following the growing social justice movement sparked by George Floyd's murder, the conversations on race have grown in our nation's classrooms. But Sharif El-Mekki, who runs a Center for Black Educator Development, says there are no actual plans to teach school-age children critical race theory.
This is not a course that most students are actually taking in pre-K to 12.
El-Mekki says conversations about racism in school is not critical race theory, but there are other perspectives to teach that aren't being taught.
Because it's hard to understand history if you're not looking at whose voices were centered, who was marginalized.
El-Mekki's perspective is one that is now being debated in school board meetings across the country, even here on Capitol Hill, with Republican lawmakers introducing several bills and resolutions against the teaching of critical race theory. However, with Democrats in control of Congress, the legislation has slim chances of passing. In Washington, I'm Nicole Newman.
We checked to see if any schools in our area have these discussions in classrooms, but we're told it's not part of the curriculums. What a day it's been for Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. He blasted off into space this morning with a hand-picked group of people, including his younger brother Mark, an 18-year-old from the Netherlands, and Wally Funk, an 82-year-old aviation pioneer from Texas. The crew successfully flew to the edge of space aboard a rocket and capsule developed by Bezos' private space flight company, Blue Origin.
I'm not talented enough to put this into words. The accelerating G forces and how that felt your skin pulled back and pushed into the seat. And then zero G comes so suddenly and then you're just floating.
Bezos said that Blue Origin has reached $100 million in private sales. He also said the company plans to fly 2 more human missions this year. Later on Valley News Live at 5, golf fans have to be excited as some of the best pros are coming to play later this week in Minnesota.
Along with damaging wind, a last night's storm brought some much needed rain for many. Look at the lightning striking the top of our Valley News Live or KBOY tower, 2,000 feet in the air. Hey, we have severe weather to be worried about tomorrow, but it's not stormy. Heat and smoke, a part of your first alert weather day tomorrow. Details next.